liftoff and the clock has started.
Welcome to episode 10 of the Tesla Time Podcast, the UK Tesla Unofficial Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Winter, and on this double-digit show, we track Elon's plane as it flies around the globe. We go through the release of Tesla's impact report and chew the fat on the 2022 Model Y and the changes we can expect, along with a check-in at Giga Berlin and much, much more. Stick with me because it's that time again. It's Tesla time. Tesla time indeed. You join me on Friday the 13th of July. The summer weather seems to have disappeared quite early this year in the UK. So getting lots of muscle memory practice around turning my windscreen wipers on and off in my Tesla, which is quite a procedure. But I've got it down to like a 0.5 second fine art now. Many Tesla owners will know what I'm talking about there. But as per usual, lots to get through this week. So let's kick off with some quick-fire headlines, starting with a Cybertruck update. We had previously discussed that if the Model Y in Giga Texas doesn't effectively get out the way, then the Cybertruck will storm through the priority list. And then off the back of the earnings call, what was that now, a couple of weeks ago, we got confirmation that the opposite was true and that the Cybertruck is very much second in line behind the Model Y in Giga Texas. Well, now we have had official confirmation. If you go and order a Tesla Cybertruck today, you will be given the following message, quote, "You will be able to complete your configuration as production nears in 2022. End quote. So that is pulled straight from the website, straight from Tesla.com. And yeah, final nail in the coffin for any Cybertruck 2021 hopes we may have had. Now, it is no major surprise that this is the case for three reasons. Number one, this is what they alluded to on the earnings call, as I mentioned. Number two, we've seen with our own eyes that the Model Y and admittedly the Model 3 can not only hold the business afloat, but help the company thrive and have record-breaking quarters even during a global pandemic. And of course, three, it's not like Tesla are looking for pre-orders. They're not searching in the hope that people will pre-order this car. They have enough. What is it now? 1.3 million pre-orders and counting, which is insane. So, you know, if it does hit the pre-order number a little bit, this message, I don't think that's going to be a massive sting to Tesla. Next up, the Semi has unfortunately also had its delay confirmed. So it's what we expected. But sure enough, Tesla have confirmed this week that the Semi will be pushed back to 2022. For those of you who don't know, the Semi is the, imagine like HGV, we call them over here, like heavy goods vehicle. It's their big truck, right? Basically, a lorry, I guess we call them. And again, no real surprise there. Although we do know that some large-scale companies, I think Pepsi springs to mind. I need to check that, but I think Pepsi, being one of them, have already submitted pre-orders for these trucks, right? So, they've already gathered interest from business around the world. And of course, the route to production is very different for these vehicles in comparison to your normal consumer cars. And what I mean by that is, if a business, say a company wanted to say 7 trucks, Tesla will then build 7 trucks for that business rather than 250,000 cars rolling off the production line, irrespective of orders and pre-orders, etc. So, the other thing to point out here is a new law has actually been passed in both the US and the EU, allowing electric vehicles to tow a larger weight. And when I say that, that's not you or I towing a trailer or a caravan or whatever. This is like full 16-wheeler truck payload weight. So that's caused a lot of the doubters of the Semi to kind of sit up and take notice, because of course that law wouldn't have been passed if it hadn't been proved to be both doable but also safe. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that one, and I expect to hear more about where that law change has come from and whether or not Tesla has been involved in that. I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not aware of any other EV manufacturer making kind of a giant, truck, basically. Obviously, we've got lots of pickup trucks coming out, but a giant kind of commercial truck I'm not aware of. So I'm sure Tesla were involved, but nothing's come out so far. Right, that's your quick fire. Anyway, lots to get through. Let's jump through the headlines this week. Let's go. So, first on the list, Tesla released their 2020 Environmental Impact Report. So this is an annual report where they look back on the previous year and comment on their environmental impact as a company, both positive and negative, whether that be life cycle emissions, battery emissions. I mean, there's tons in here, right? And I'm going to kind of cut through some of the main or key themes, I should say. So to kick off, let me read you the summarizing tagline at the top of this relatively beefy document, okay? Quote, in 2020, Tesla's customers helped accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy by avoiding 5 million metric tons of CO2 emissions, end quote. An absolutely ginormous stat there, and it is directly correlating to Tesla's overarching mission statement. It's something that they're rightly proud of. The fact that they are doing a great job of driving us towards sustainable energy. And it's also cool to see them flex their green muscles, if you will, in a mandatory annual report like this. This is a huge advantage for Tesla, as many companies use this report to identify where they can be doing better, where to invest in the future for improvement. The report in Tesla's case is almost a celebration of their success, as their very core of their company is built around sustainability and general greenness. But, let's be clear, and I want to try and remain as impartial or as, I guess, as balanced as possible on the podcast. It's not all roses. And when looking at the Tesla Model 3, and in particular manufacturing of the Model 3, the report states this, quote, the manufacturing process of the Model 3 currently results in slightly higher GHG emissions than an equivalent combustion engine vehicle, end quote. So, first of all, a show of honesty and an identification of somewhere perhaps Tesla can improve on. I'm actually, when I read this, at first I was surprised. And then when you kind of think about it, you can't really be too surprised, right? Tesla are ramping up manufacturing as fast as they can, right? So things like this, doing it in the most sustainable, most green way possible, things like this are going to slip a little bit. Elon is always reminding us of the difficulties of just getting the product out at the other end of a large-scale manufacturing process, let alone streamlining that process for a better or at least reduced carbon impact. And indeed, the article goes on to say this, right? Quote, however, based on the global weighted grid mix, a Model 3 has lower lifetime emissions than ICE vehicles after driving just 5,340 miles, end quote. So what they're saying here is, if you zoom in on manufacturing, Tesla aren't as strong in the emission stakes as other traditional vendors. However, if you kind of take a step back and look at the overall picture, the Model 3 is significantly better for the environment than an ICE vehicle. That's not really a massive surprise. And in fact, if you're really into climate control and impact and things of that nature, just think, I've got to drive my car 5,300 miles to hit over that equilibrium, to get into that positive, which most people are doing, 5,300 miles, you're doing that in the first year of ownership probably. So overall, an interesting concept in itself. I've got to drive my car for it to become, for it to reduce its footprint on the earth. Now, the other thing to note here is all around the electricity that you're putting into said Model 3, because we know the Model 3 is the most efficient EV available in the market today. It inherently uses less electricity than other EVs out there to date. But let's just pivot into batteries, right? Because that's where things become really interesting in this report. And it's just a great example, I believe, of Tesla leveling up on its levels up, if you see what I mean. So on this, the report outlines the following, quote, A Tesla battery pack is designed to outlast the vehicle itself. Because of this, few consumer Tesla batteries, even those from our nearly 9-year-old Model S cars, have been decommissioned to date. In preparation for the future, our battery factories have already begun implementing an in-house closed-loop recycling system that will ensure 100% of Tesla batteries received are recycled and up to 92% of their raw materials reused. End quote. Now, this is awesome. So one of the coolest things, and a lot of Tesla owners and EV owners who are also, welcome to listen to this. One of the coolest things of owning an EV is the battery itself, right? Not just the performance or the quietness or even the cost savings that it offers the user, but the reliability is a huge factor. And how many times have you either heard of or been involved in one of those horror stories where, you buy a car, the engine dies, or a part in the engine dies, it costs a fortune to replace. Sometimes it can even be a write-off, right? It's just horrible, horrible stories. These things happen every single day on our roads. But with batteries, and especially Tesla battery technology, they last so long. And Tesla are working on the 1,000,000-mile battery behind the scenes, and we've talked about that, where the mileage of a second-hand car won't really matter necessarily anymore. Or alternatively, you take your battery and then you apply a new shell car over the top of that, if you see what I mean. But that's a thing for another day. But anyway, with the 3680 cell technology, they're getting to that 1,000,000-mile. But even when your battery does die, or in the car you had 15 years ago, it dies, Tesla are already investing in this incredible recycling facility to be able to make sure every single one of the parts, components, the materials within that battery is either recycled or reused. And like I say, leveling up. When Tesla are already ahead, this is what they do great. They go even further ahead. And currently, 92% reusable rate, that's not to be sniffed at. And if you think about it, Tesla are ramping up sales, they're ramping up demand, they're ramping up manufacturing. By the time, the vehicles that are rolling off the production line today come to the end of their life, it's going to be so good that we already have, that recycling facility there, which is fantastic. Sticking with batteries just for 1 second, it's important to point out that the battery retention is also covered in the document. So this is the measure of the battery's performance and yield throughout its life cycle. So like I say, a 1,000,000-mile battery is the future. It's what we're aiming for, but where are we at right now? And if you're interested, by the way, I'd definitely encourage you head over to tesla.com and read the report, because it shows this line graph of the retention that they're seeing from their battery performance. So the line basically, on the x-axis, you've got distance traveled, and on the y-axis, you've got percentage, max percentage that the battery can hold. And basically, the line sticks high up the graph, almost to the ceiling, for the entire 200,000 mile measurement. It never really, I'm looking at it now, never really drops below, what would you say that is, 90%? I mean, if you could see it, you know what I mean. It's not super easy to read exact percentages here because it's done in tens, but, definitely not ever below 87 or 88%. So again, another huge advantage Tesla and Tesla batteries technology has is, they can hold their yield for longer in their life cycle. So again, a future-proofed investment. Along with some more safety statistics, which we know is one of Tesla's key strengths. But like I say, there's lots in this report. Head over to tesla.com to read the full report. But overall, this is a good news story for Tesla. And I wanted to bring it to you, especially after the quickfire headlines, where unfortunately we had to rattle through some delays. Okay, let's talk Model Y. So the Model Y is now officially the most popular Tesla vehicle in the US. And we've discussed in the past that if you order a Model Y today in the US or from Giga Shanghai, they now come with this world-class leading filter technology, the HEPA filter, right? Which gives you that biodefense weapon mode. And actually, let me just pause there for a couple of side notes on that. HEPA filter. If you are a current owner of the Model Y, then there is still no official communication from Tesla whether or not you'll be able to order a HEPA filter retrofit. However, it is heavily rumoured and those rumblings are still going on. In fact, Sawyer Merritt, who's like a well-regarded Tesla leaker, well-regarded in the sense that he has really good contacts, tweeted to say that he's hearing that this will be coming. So any Model Y listeners, keep an eye out for that, because that'd be great. That'd be a great kind of retrofit to be able to go for. And the second thing is, a couple of Model 3 owners emailed me after the show where we discussed the HEPA filter and the benefits that it brings, and they were kind of asking whether or not I or we or they think the HEPA filter will be coming to Model 3s, either new Model 3s rolling off the line or as a retrofit option. Now, I've not seen any information or speculation on this, so it's this is just purely my opinion, but my opinion is I don't think so, or at least I doubt it. Simply and purely for the fact that the Model Y is inherently larger than the Model 3. And I know, they share 75% of their parts, but its general stance, if you put two next to each other, a 3 and a Y, its general stance is higher. So there's just more room for a filter of this size. And what makes the HEPA filter so good is inherently linked with its size, right? It's ginormous compared to all other filtration systems in vehicles today. I might be wrong, and I hope I am, but that is my opinion. So, but I'll keep an eye out and let you know. Anyway, where were we? The 2022 Model Y. So we've seen the HEPA filter change. Meanwhile, we know Giga Texas is getting closer to Model Y production, as is Giga Berlin. And Giga Berlin is the one that gets a lot of attention from, myself, selfishly, as a resident within EMEA and within the UK. And in fact, this week, Teslarati shared drone flyover images of around 9 different Model Y body castings on the site at Giga Berlin, which is a huge step for those eagerly awaiting the Y, especially in the UK, right? Although, to be fair, it's worth mentioning, I've looked at some of the expert kind of comments on this, people that kind of live and work in and around manufacturing. And these were either made on site, which is obviously what we hope, or what is most likely is that they were shipped there for robot and machine calibration. So if you imagine a vehicle production line, if you've ever seen those pictures of inside a Tesla factory or any car factory, it's typically extremely packed in with robot arms and people and travel belts and stuff. So basically what they do is they run a quote unquote fake Model Y body through the production line to make sure that it physically fits. They can train the arms in picking up the cars and moving them around, or parts of the cars. And of course at the end they then have at least 9 cars. They then have at least 9 cars that they can practice painting on in the paint shop as well. So there's no suggestion that these were made on site. I hope they were, but there's no suggestion of that. But they are there, which is another good sign of progression. Anyway, I keep getting off track and going off on tangents. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the big news for Tesla Berlin Gigafactory, sorry about that, is that the boss was in town this week. So Elon arrived on Wednesday afternoon this week. And according to Auto News, quote, Elon Musk met with the leadership of Brandenburg, the German state where the EV maker's 5.8 billion euro European gigafactory is being built. During the meeting, Musk made clear how important it is for the company to keep its schedule for the construction of the factory, said Brandenburg's economy minister, Jörg Steinbach. Let me just come out of this one sec. Jörg, I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. That's you spell it. It's really difficult. Sorry. Back in, quote, Musk also said Tesla would intensify communication and involve local citizens more. Steinbach told Reuters on Thursday after a meeting with Musk. Tesla has faced delays during the construction of the new plant in the town of Grunheide near Berlin due to resistance from opponents worried about the factory's impact on the environment. The Environment Agency in Brandenburg has yet to give final approval for the factory, which will manufacture batteries as well as electric cars, meaning a further delay cannot be ruled out even into 2022, end quote. So although last week we were weighing up whether or not the UK do or don't feel forgotten about in the week where it's been an extremely intensive week for Elon, and when I say that, I'm referring to SpaceX. There's a lot going on with SpaceX, and this isn't an Elon podcast. It's certainly not a SpaceX podcast, and there's some great shows out there you can go and check out if you're interested in that. But Elon's been super busy with SpaceX this week, and it's great to see that even in that week of busyness, he's still found the time to come and visit us over here in Europe. I would say that we can't get the hardcore details from the meetings that he had and what was said and what wasn't said. But if you kind of follow his whereabouts when he leaves somewhere, there's usually then a flurry of activity and progress that shortly follows. So here's to hoping that that is going to be the case here. Now, the article obviously is relatively negative towards the end there, where it says that it can't be ruled out a delay into 2022. But soon after Elon left Germany, Teslarati wrote a fantastic piece about the visit and the decline in opposition towards Tesla's factory in Berlin. In the article, they say, quote, "The opposition against Giga Berlin factory seems to be on a steady decline. As per a statement from Environmental Minister Axel Vogel on Wednesday at the State Parliament's Environment Committee, the Brandenburg State Office for the Environment has received only 44 objections against the latest plans for Giga Berlin. The 44 objections were raised against Giga Berlin as a response to the renewed public display of the facility's plans. While 44 may seem substantial, this is already a massive decrease from the number of objections that Giga Berlin's plans received in the past. When the first iteration of Tesla's plans were published last year, a total of 373 objections were received. The deadline for any objections does not end until August 19th, 2021, after which the Brandenburg State Office for the Environment would decide if the project requires yet another public hearing. If another hearing is needed, the public session should take place around mid-September in the town hall of Erkner. Such a hearing would be quite interesting, as Tesla's hearing at Erkner Town Hall last year ended up involving some fiery discussions against the facility." End quote. So, yeah, and breathe. Just a little glimpse. And I wanted to kind of, at first I was going to cut that quote up, but I kind of wanted to just give it to you in full, because I think it offers just a tiny glimpse into the constant struggle that is mass production and the red tape that you got to get through to get to the other side. This is a company that is, making electric cars to help the environment, driving local employment and income. You imagine what it must be like for a more controversial company to rock up and begin manufacturing, like a pharmaceutical or something. I don't know. So, if Tesla is struggling, then there's no help for the rest of them. Here's the thing, right? Teslarati then tweeted the link to this piece, right? To which Elon replied directly saying, quote, "It's going to be awesome," end quote. And he had already left Germany when he tweeted that. So when was that? That was Thursday. Yes, that was yesterday. So, he's obviously feeling, perky. He's feeling optimistic about it off the back of his conversations. We don't know what was said, but fingers crossed for that flurry of activity. And he's hoping that progress continues to happen in Europe with Tesla, and we will follow it all the way on Tesla Time Podcast. So I'm really trying to keep the episodes below 30 minutes with all the news going on in the world of Tesla. That can be a challenge. So a couple of stories that didn't quite make it, that isn't necessarily going to get the TLC that they perhaps deserve this week is, well, the first one was around the Polestar. So the Polestar Precept vehicle was shown off to the media this week. If you're into your EVs, you'd have almost definitely have seen this. They did a great job of marketing the car, and it looks unbelievable. We know the difficulties of turning a concept vehicle into a mass-produced vehicle, but fingers crossed Polestar can pull it off. As a Tesla, a Tesla follower, I want to see more EVs pushing more car manufacturers pushing the boundaries of what an EV can do and can be. So fingers crossed we start to see that rolling out in 2022. Maybe if we find time on another episode, I'll run through some of the really cool technology that's on that car that we're not seeing on Teslas currently to date. The other thing to mention as well is Inside EVs this week reported that Tesla's FSD Beta 9.1 travels all the way from LA to San Francisco with just one intervention. So there's this really cool video. If you go on InsideEVs.com, there's this really cool video online where they've sped it up, 10 times or whatever. So it's super fast. And you can see, this is a normal person. This is not Tesla marketing material. This is a normal person who is literally not driving their car for hours. So that is insane to see. And there's cross sections. I think there's a couple of roundabouts in there. There's exits. There's entrances onto motorways and stuff. Or highways, I should say. So lots to sink your teeth in there. I'd definitely go check that out on InsideEVs.com as we step closer and closer to a more wider launch of the FSD Beta. Thank you so much again for listening to the Tesla Time podcast. We're now at 10 episodes. I'm going to start promoting the show a little bit more soon. So we will be getting, hopefully, fingers crossed, a broader reach into the Tesla community, which I'm super looking forward to. If you want to be part of the show, and when I say be part of the show, actually be on the show, then you absolutely can. All you have to do is record your voice with your phone, laptop, tablet, PC, whatever, and send that voice clip, whether it be a Tesla related question, a comment, a discussion topic, whatever it might be, send that clip to teslatimepodcast@gmail.com and you can be on the show. It would be amazing to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. Next week is episode 11, and then the week after that will probably be, if I've got my dates right, could be AI Day. The fallout from AI Day, I should say. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Stay safe, keep well, peace.